So we have Dr. Mark Elfont in the studio with me today. Dr. Mark, thank you for coming down here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Please, for the residents who may not have met you before, tell us your occupation and your experience in the Valley.
Sure. Actually, we're, I say, relatively newcomers. We've owned the property here. We're coming out for the winters for a couple of years, starting in 2008. And then we're full-time for almost 7 years now.
Oh, okay. Where did you come here from?
From Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. I see the Eagles hat.
Yeah, I see my Eagles hat. Big Eagles fan, but wait till next year. No, I was involved in a lot of activities back east, and I wanted to do it here. What I've done out here, I actually am the founder and president of the Santa Clarita Philharmonic, a community orchestra that we give concerts for the community. And but actually, the reason I was interested in this position is that back east, I served on our local school board for 10 years, and a great experience. I actually have an undergraduate and graduate degree in engineering, and I have an MBA and a PhD in management systems. And what that's really given me is the opportunity to examine problems and come up with good solutions. In fact, I gave lectures throughout the country on what I call problem analysis and decision solutions. In fact, I gave a seminar out here at UCLA while I was on the East Coast. I also spent 31 years as a civilian employee of the U.S. Navy. I retired as a chief information officer and spent a couple years with the Federal Reserve System. I headed up an office to integrate the bank examination system for all the different 12 districts once we had bank deregulation. And then I did some independent consulting. But one of the things that I can point to is when I was on the school board with my engineering background and my management background, I was always looking for the best way to do things. We were a blue ribbon school district, and we were doing a lot of expansion and construction over a 3 or 4 year period. We spent over $35 million on renovation of some of our older buildings and some expansion adding to a new building. And one thing I can point out, we had an elementary school that we had to add 24 classrooms, and part of it was already existing, and they were going to convert one of the rooms in the existing structure to an art room. And the architects came up with this plan to rip off a perfectly good roof to put in a sloping roof so they could put cellar-story windows in the art room with a northern exposure. Well, that's wonderful. You get beautiful natural light, but these were K-3 students. You know, I don't think third graders need natural northern exposure light. So I worked on that, and we scrubbed that, and we saved the district over $50,000 on that one step alone. So that's the kind of thing I like to do. When I'm involved, I get involved. We had a number of people on the school board, and some of them, you know, God bless them, they just showed up at the meetings and, you know, asked a couple questions and went on. But I really put my heart and soul into it. I would investigate all the issues. I work closely with the developers, the builders, the architects. I was also the representative to our local, the vocational school. It was a county-wide vocational school, and I was the rep. Got heavily involved with the information technology. And in fact, because of that, we introduced smart boards throughout our district. So they're the kind of things that I've done in the past.
Talk to me a little bit about the Santa Clarita Philharmonic. You're the founder of that organization. I think it's really interesting that you founded an organization. You know, a lot of people enjoy the Philharmonic, but to take the initiative to start that, what was that process like? Well,
it's interesting. When we started coming out here just for the winters before we moved, I enjoy classical music, and we go down to Disney Hall, but it's a little bit of a trek, and you know, whatever. We enjoyed that, but I said maybe there's classical music here, and I got real excited because I went online and I found there was a Santa Clarita Symphony. Well, it turns out that they had been defunct for several years. I think they were around 2004. They gave a couple concerts, and the community just didn't support it. It was rather expensive. So I actually worked with a fellow by the name of Jeff Lippincott, who's a composer, does a lot of work for Mark Burnett, TV music. He does movie themes. And he was trying to do a similar thing, but he tried to do a professional orchestra, and he had to cancel stuff. So I met with him and said, gee, I'd like to see if we can do a community orchestra. I played in community orchestras back in the Philadelphia area for over 35 years.
So what'd you play?
I played trumpet.
Oh.
And so it took a little while. Actually, it took us a couple years, and Jeff bowed out because he's a professional musician. When he goes in to do a recording, he commands a professional orchestra. And it's very different when working with a community orchestra. This is not their profession. There are some retired professionals, some who are still working as musicians part-time. We have just people who enjoy playing and have played throughout their life, and we have some students as well. So he bowed out, and I took it over solely, and we've been building, and now we give 3 concerts a year. We have around 45 active musicians on stage at any given concert, and it's been great. We've had a great response.
If I can ask you, looking at what the City Council's done for Santa Clarita over the last few years, if you can give me one example of where you think City Council did a great job with a big decision, and one example where if you were on the body, you might have done things a little bit differently.
Well, certainly. A couple things. Mainly what I'm most familiar with, because I've been actively involved in the arts and entertainment. I think I was at the council meeting in support of the Lemley development, and I think that was a wonderful thing to bring into downtown New Hall. I totally support the revitalization of downtown New Hall, make it a center where people want to come, not just to the mall. We can do a lot here. So I think that Lemley project, giving parking and some retail space, but mainly the opportunity to see some movies that don't play at the other theaters. So I was in great support of that. Also, I was invited to participate on the revision to the Arts and Entertainment Master Plan. I've been working closely with Phil Lantis, who's the director of the Arts and Entertainment Department of the city, and so we had some input to that. And one of the things that I was most interested in is creating venues. It's very difficult to get into the PAC. It's very expensive to perform at the PAC. So we're looking at trying to develop some venues, and that's a good thing.
And just if I may, one other instance where, again, you might have done something a little bit differently than what the City Council chose. And we have a minute left, just like.
Actually, I really can't think of much. I think they're doing a great job, really. What they've done with Whitaker Burmite, I think there's a great opportunity there to expand our business base. I'd like to see Santa Clarita become more of a destination than a bedroom community. It still has, with 220-some thousand residents in the valley, we're still recognized as a bedroom community for people commuting to LA, and I think we can change that. But all in all, I think they've been doing a good job. I don't know that I really haven't been that active. I don't go to all the meetings, so I can't say there is one thing that's, oh, no, you're doing it all wrong. Things can always be tweaked. I think one of the issues in traffic, they're trying to do that. That's a terribly difficult situation to do. Talk about timing lights, but you can only time lights in one direction. So we can work on that.
Awesome. Dr. Mark Elfont, thank you very much for taking the time to come down here and talk to us and the residents about the issues.
Thank you. Thank you very much.